Welcome everybody in person and virtually. We are recording, so we do have lots of people that go back after the fact and watch the recording. And so if that happens to be you right now watching us after the fact, make sure that you send us any questions or suggestions that you have, things you'd like to see for future guests, so that way we can make sure that we are programming appropriately for the things that you want to know about. So my name is Diana Schwartz. I'm the Executive Director of the River District Association, and we are very, very glad you are here. We are going to start off first thing with any merchant news updates, celebrations, but first let's just do a quick round of introductions. And let's actually go ahead and start online. So Nicholas, I don't see you, but I'm hoping you can hear me. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, your name and where you're from.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Newell West. I'm using my son's laptop.
Hey, Newell.
Since you're recording this, I'll tell you that my wife and I own Excess Clothing Design and Alterations on Main Street, and we like being part of RDA.
Yay. Well, we like you being part of RDA, and we're grateful for your business downtown as with all of our merchants, of course. And so next up, I am so sorry. Who do we have here else joining us this morning?
I'm Chuck Vipperman, doing this for two news outlets, actually, for my Southside News Today, and I freelance also for the Chatham Star Tribune. So I also am recording this, so everyone be on your absolute best behavior.
That's funny. Chuck, you know, I did not recognize you. We've met and talked before. I think it was the angle, so my apologies. We're
not a
glad
problem.
that you're here. But yeah, any follow-up questions you have, of course, you can ask while you're here, but you can also follow up with Kirsten after the fact or myself as well. So
No sweat.
glad that you are joining us. So let's move to the in-person. I know most people know the staff, but I don't want to make assumptions. So let's start with Alyssa.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alyssa Turner. I am the office manager for the River District Association. Glad you guys could be here this morning.
The friendly voice you hear when you come to the door or make a phone call or stop by to see us, right, Will?
Morning, everyone. Morning. My name is Will McAman. I'm the Programs and Services Manager at RDA. And good to see you all. And I'll have a couple updates later in the meeting.
Yeah, we've got more to come. I promise I don't talk the whole time. Jeremy.
Click down on the media CrossFit and previous pretty much.
Awesome. Next up, our friend Susan Moss, co-owner of Head Up Eyes Forward at 543 Main Street. Awesome. And of course, our guest today, which we'll give a more proper introduction to, but Dr. Lovely, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Stephanie Lovely. I am with Parks and Recreation. I'm the Facilities and Services Planner there. I'm happy to be here today.
More to come. And of course, last but never least, the one who puts all this on for us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kirsten, Communications and Events Manager here at RDA.
And we know who you are, even if you don't.
Marketing and I don't know.
So let's talk about anything that we want to bring up, any celebrations, any big news. Jump in, and I'm going to start actually by putting Jeremy on the spot. Did I see you're launching a new program? Did I see that today?
I'm launching a Fresh Start program for those that want to get started and need to get back in 2 days a week at a discount price. So that goes with.
I love it. Yes. And if you're not familiar with Jeremy, you need to be over at Dominion, also personal training services,
Yes.
I believe, in addition to your workout and your classes. And he is located just right around the corner from City Hall. So if you need any assistance, what's your address again?
308 Court Street.
308 Court Street. So thank you very much. Who else? Susan, anything you want to talk about? Going on Head Up
We
Eyes
are
Forward?
celebrating 1 year.
Yeah.
on Main Street. So that was a big milestone for us. More exciting news to come when it is more solid. But yeah, news to come very, very shortly.
Yay, very, very glad. And of course, come on in, guys. We have more visitors coming in. We'll get to their introductions. Right now, this is Josh Lucia, representing multiple organizations. Who are you here with today?
So here, I also have Mark Harrelson with me. We're
Hey,
both
Mark.
Smokestack Theater Company, and then I also own Lucia Video. So we just moved down to 319 Lynn Street, and setting up shop there.
Yay, well, we're in actually, go ahead and have a seat. We're in announcements right now and celebrations. So Smokestack officially at 319 Lynn Street, is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
When, will you be doing productions there as well, or is that just officing?
no, we will be doing shows there, so hopefully 100 seats. We actually are getting ready to announce our adult show, which will be July. I forget the dates, but the weekend after 4th of July. Our kids show is August 4th through the 7th. That's Firebringer. Auditions are May 21st for kids 6th through 12th grade. And then we've got some kids workshops already coming up, and we're getting ready to gear up for some improv. So now that we have a place, we're busy. So
Yes.
We have already had 3 youth workshops.
Oh, fantastic.
sold out, 20 teens in there. So having a good time.
So what is your website if people want to learn more?
thesmokestack.org. So THE smokestack.org.
thesmokestack.org. Sounds like I'm gonna have to get my acting hat back on.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm so excited. Also, we'll get to, well, why don't I do it right now? Newell, is there any announcements coming from Access or anything that you want to share?
Not really. We've been learning how to use a new machine that we got through RDA. It's enhancing our ability to service our customers. It's something that helps us to make a different stitch for the sewing shop, and just learning how to use it. And this is a big season. This is the time when people start getting married for some reason, and there's also proms coming up. So my wife's real busy actually working, and I just go to meetings like this and have fun. So
There's a lot of these good deals going around with you married folks. You're gonna make me rethink my position maybe, but I digress. Chuck, I know you're not in the River District per se, but you're everywhere. So do you have anything that you'd like to share with our folks today?
I am still working on some sponsors for Southside News Today. I did start last week a little 2-week 2-day series with Lisa Merriweather. Somebody introduced me to her, and we did a couple of very good stories on tourism. And there's going to be a big write-up in the Chatham Star Tribune on the new position, the new division. My wife was actually assistant director of tourism under the old department when it was under Parks and Rec back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I've got a little bit of background in that. But she mentioned something about an ambassadors program that I found intriguing, training local people to be tourism ambassadors. And that's probably, well, you got to get that in place before the casino comes, because that's the idea, to get people to be ambassadors for tourism before Caesars opens their doors. If you do it afterwards, you're too late. But there was some really intriguing stuff about that, and it put me in mind with my conversation with you last year about River District Association news. So I've been doing news in Danville. You younger folks are going to wince here. I've been doing news in Danville since 1989. This is what we have going on right now is nothing short of remarkable. It makes this old man feel very, very good. It's a fun thing to see. And people like Diana and Lisa and the rest are big reasons behind it. But this is a fun thing to watch.
Well, thank you very much, but it takes a village, honestly, yourself and all the wonderful people here living, working, playing, and investing, not just in the River District, of course, but throughout Danville, Pennsylvania County. And so while we're grateful for that, and our area, of course, is River District, it is for the betterment of all of our citizens who live.
And let me know if you want to be advertising on a program that gets 3,500 views every day. So keep that in mind.
There's another way, yes, another fantastic way to get the word out. Thank you so much for sharing that, Chuck. We really appreciate it. So I know that staff here are probably going to have some updates. We give everyone the opportunity to talk, except maybe Alyssa. I don't want to leave you out. Any updates that we need to know about?
I think we're good.
We're in good shape. All right, very good. Anything else before we get started with our special guest this morning? No? Okay, we're good to go. So, Kirsten, I do not have a bio. Do you want to pull up and introduce Stephanie? Would you prefer Stephanie or Dr. Love?
Either's fine.
Okay. Wonderful. And for those of you that are here in place, she has a little gift for you here today. No worries. Come on.
Well, I guess I can let you sort of introduce yourself, but Dr. Lovely is the Facilities and Services Planner at the Danville Parks and Rec, and you have quite an impressive biography. And we're really excited to have you here to learn a little bit more about all the projects you have going on with park equity and all that kind of stuff. And things. Yeah, so thank you very much for being here, and I appreciate it. You want to? You can run your. Is here a screen share? Do you want to go ahead and do that now, or?
Sure. Well, yeah, so it's really great to be here. My name is Stephanie Lovely. I've been here a little over a year. I came from Virginia Tech, where I studied green spaces and their relationship with community development, sustainable community development. And since I've been here, I've been tasked with evaluating and coming up with a long-term plan for our neighborhood parks. And so this is kind of what I'm going to update you on today. Is this fine?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Is there a way to make this full screen? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna. I have to. Sorry, everyone, we're getting there.
Oh, that's okay. We're a loose group here. You're not stuffy.
There we
It's
go.
okay.
Okay. There we go. Nope, that is full screen. For some reason. Okay. Sorry.
All right, so in this presentation, I'll talk to you a little bit about how we came to what we're doing now in Parks and Recreation through the last year's evaluation and writing of the plan. And then I'll focus on sort of what's going on now in neighborhood park development and what it means to community as a whole. And especially how it involves maybe our local businesses in downtown area. So of course, like I just said, starting out looking for neighborhood parks, what to do with them, where they stand, what needs to happen next. So really, we started out looking at the parks as an entire system from the system's perspective, not just each individual park, but also how they fit together in a network. And we also looked at it from the lens of sustainable development. So sustainable development in the context of how do our parks and our park systems serve social justice and equity goals, environmental health goals, and economic viability. So I can give you lots of details about how we did this, but basically we used the best information we had. We went out into the community. We were trying to hear as much as we could from residents using historical knowledge, internal knowledge, and piecing that together to get a comprehensive view of our neighborhood parks and how they're used, how they'd like to be used, what their opportunity is to be developed now and later. And through this, we kind of evaluated each part and like the basic things that it needs that we know we got to tackle, and then sort of what it's going to take to get the parks time-wise and engineering-wise to a place where we can improve them. One big thing that we came out of this with is an organizational structure for how we're going to go about planning equitably these parks improvements. And so we have 3 levels of looking at the parks. And so it's individual parks, park groups. And so this could be 2 or more parks that are connected geographically, symbolically, thematically, logistically. You know, it's really what are the most logical ways that these parks are connected. And then the 3rd level is the whole park system. So the idea is that while every park can't have everything. We can have it in an area, and while each park area may not be able to have everything, we could have things in the whole park system. And so you can see the things that were the underlying basic, we must have these things in individual parks, park groups, park system. Some of them are basic for us, and some of them are like community socialization places and active amenities. So just for some context, we have 31 going on 32 with the Riverfront Park and Evans Park coming up, parks in the entirety of the system. We also have 21 of those are neighborhood parks. Clearly, there could be, there's some gray area in there. So like pocket parks and downtown, like Carrington, like some people who live downtown consider those their neighborhood parks. But we classify them a little bit different just because of how they attract tourists and how they function downtown. But they could be considered neighborhood parks as well. 8 different park groups is kind of noted by the different colors here. No, there are no perfect divisions of these groups. They're just like, they made the most sense at the time. And so these could change in the future too. As an example, one of our park groups is the Downtown Central group. And they're connected to one another geographically by who's able to access them, what function they serve in the city, what types of function we need them as a city to serve. So for instance, downtown, you'll probably have noticed when you're walking around, there's not a lot of shade or not a lot of green space. When you're walking around, it's a lot hotter in the downtown, the River District area than it is on the Greenway. So you go down a couple of blocks. And so that's one function that we're looking at. How can we better serve for heat island events? How can we better serve for stormwater drainage on these big wide roads that don't have any green space there? How can we connect our parks with green spaces and make them more walkable and function as green infrastructure in this way? So that's just one example, and there's 7 more of these park groups that each have their own different characteristics. So we have like that organization, we have the basic things that need to be in it. We have a plan of attack, which is we're going to go about resident-centered design with 3 parks a year, getting that design developed with residents. Implementation of those parks the following year. So we'll get planning, engineering 1 year, and then the next year that park will be implemented. And while that's being implemented, we start with the new 3 parks being developed and engineered. And that cycle continues, and all the while we're looking for connection between parks. Connection between parks is a big thing that I think might connect with you all in the future. It's a way to get more residents into different parts of the city, having it more accessible, more welcoming to different populations. And that's something that we're working on. It's coming up. We're looking to have lots of support as we go into that sort of idea of how can we make these green networks throughout the city so that those park groups are not only connected symbolically, but also physically. And not to like puff up our importance too much, but this is a quote that I love about the parks and the green spaces in our cities and sort of their importance. Frederick Law Olmsted is one of the first and most influential landscape architects in America. And he's just talking about all the different ways that parks can serve a community. And I see that in my research. We see this in our daily activity over at Parks and Rec. We have a role in community building. We have a role again in that green infrastructure that functions sort of for the environment. It's business, it's workforce development, it can be transportation, any aspect of civic life parks can overlap with, as long as they're designed to do so, for the better or for worse. So it's really important, like how we go about this, who we involve, all of this matters a lot to us and to the city as a whole. We We know that, like, just logistically, we need people to be able to function through the city. They need to be able to travel through the parks and the city, and it needs to make sense. They need to be able to reach things. So that's one reason why we have to strategically plan our parks, just as we would any other form of infrastructure in the city. So it's got to be organized. It's got to make sense. There's got to be themes that carry on throughout each group, each park group in the entire park network. Social justice and equity, environmental health, economic viability. Parks play a crucial role in each of these things in so many different ways. Social justice and equity, who is welcome to parks? Where are parks developed? Who has a say? That's one thing that we're trying to get out now, is everybody is welcome in the park planning process. Parks are for everyone. They're not for one group. They're not for one voice. They're for us collectively. So when we're planning them, we're taking the backseat. We're taking the lead from residents, especially residents who live in a certain area around the park. Environmental health, again, habitat networks, stormwater drainage, all of these different roles that kind of play a behind the scenes role in the city, but are crucial to our way of life and understanding of our community. One thing that I really love is that our city is named Danville, and that's directly tied to our green spaces. It's our identity. Got its name from William Byrd seeing the river and being like, oh, this is so beautiful. It's the city of Dan, like the biblical reference. And that beauty and connection with the environment gave us our name, gave us our identity. And I think we're going to be getting more and more back to that as we widen our park network and closen our relationship with the river. All right, so we're looking at, again, looking at the park as part of the civic system, the city system. We're looking at building relationships along the way. So connecting physically, our parks and our green spaces, connecting them with businesses, with places of value in the city, but also making sure that residents feel welcome to come there. Oops, I did a few. So one way that we're doing this right now, you may have heard of Park, maybe not, but in January, February, March, we've been having community events in the first 3 parks that are up for improvements, which are Coates, Doyle, Thomas, and Pumpkin Creek. Really trying to get the word out to residents that they're invited to this process as it's happening. They can see something come out of their participation. We value their participation. We need it. We'll start having, we've had over 60 residents sign up just in that process. We had more sign up during the evaluation. So we're reaching out to those residents to set up meeting times to look at how do we collectively design this park, or not how, we'll do it together, but we're setting up times for that now, and we'll have a series of meetings going into the summer that will decide what goes in these parks. So another thing we're looking at right now is connecting the parks and greenways with local businesses. How can we connect residents with places that they want to go and need to go? So that's where those park groups, that whole park system comes into play, us looking at the connections between parks, but also on the business side. I know this isn't exclusively the river district, but how do we connect with parks? How can we be river facing? How can we be park facing? So we know that people, when they travel on greenways, when they go to parks, they spend more money in businesses. They're more connected to the place. They go there more often. They have positive feelings, positive associations with that business. It's an address maker to have a park or a greenway near you. You also have a positive relationship with the community if you embrace that. And I love Two Witches has sort of their backyard is facing the greenway and welcoming people in and to go out and explore that way. Also Cotton overlooks the river and the river walk, and it's just beautiful to be sitting out there and seeing people pass along the trail and vice versa. It really makes it feel more of like a community and more like you're welcome to those spaces. And so these are ways that you can connect with parks, and that we would love to connect with you. If you have ideas of how you would like to connect with parks, more than happy to work with you on that. The last one coming up is Tree Week, and that's coming up in April. It's new to us, but it's roughly Earth Day through Arbor Day. And we have lots of activities going on that we're doing with partners, we're doing with within Parks and Rec and the library system. But also really looking to connect residents with that green infrastructure, with their nature, seeing the value of that to them, feeling the value of that to them. And making it known that residents are welcome in all these green spaces. One aspect of that, sorry, I wanted to mention here is tree adoptions that are going on in Grove Park. And those you can hear is a little tree that we have. You'll probably hear a story about him coming up same school week. We planted him last summer, and he was adopted by a local resident who watered him every day and took care of him. And we've been checking on him. We were worried about him for a little bit, but he's just started budding. There's going to be a whole program around trees like Philippe. We'll have 15 to 20 spots for residents who would like to adopt a tree and take care of it, name it. It's an opportunity for residents to be a part of the park or businesses as well. All of this is sort of an attempt to educate people about the parks and the roles they play in their community, how they can better connect with that, how they have a power to actually shape that space. And so we're connecting through the park system, looking to connect residents to community assets. That's us through our built infrastructure, but also the community as a whole through how we connect with those spaces individually, and invite people into your spaces from our public parks. Better connection to residents. So we're building relationships along the way, having positive feelings when people are on these spaces, feeling welcome from different parts of the community through physical connection and through the process of park planning. And that's it. It's a lot in a little bit, but if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Actually, thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming to talk with us about this today. And I do have a question. I know that you probably get asked about it a lot, about the Riverfront Park. Are there any updates or timelines that you can share with us?
Yeah, so Riverfront Park is set to start breaking ground in its first phase this fall. And there's still some engineering going on with the sort of walkway, but everything's going as planned, and that'll be up and running it's sort of in conjunction with the casino timeline, I believe, that 2024 is supposed to be finished.
How about our guests online? Chuck, do you or Mr. West have any questions for Dr. Lovely?
I do. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you very much for that presentation. It's nice that you're here in town helping us out. We have our business on Main Street, been there for about 10 years, the alteration store, which my wife runs. But as the casino is coming in, it looks like Parks and Recreation is growing. And I too have met Chuck, that new tourism manager. So Danville is going to have, I think, quite an effect from this $500 million building in our neighborhood. And I know that we're in a program for Schoolfield called Plan It. So I got together with some neighbors that out here, we in the Schoolfield area, we own about 160 acres out here that are undeveloped, used to be tobacco farms and that kind of thing. So I just attended the Dream Launch and Rev Up classes where we're learning to start new businesses. Anyway, long-winded. We want to set up an RV park and nature trails out here on our side of the tracks, over here on the south side, right next to North Carolina border. And hearing you talk about this, I think you called it Connect Way or a way to make connection with your other parks.
Greenway,
What is it called? Connectway?
a greenway.
A greenway?
I like Connectway too.
Yeah, because we already have a couple miles of trails out here that we use for our ATVs and for walking around the forest. And so that's important. So I'll be in touch with you, Stephanie, to find out more about how to do that, because we too want to open up about the time the casino does. And so I'm glad that you came and made that presentation. Now we can find out how to add our lands to what the Parks and Recreation too are also doing, because it's impressive that Danville is changing, and I think it's going to change a lot more when all this construction gets going here in the next year. So, but I just wanted to let you know that we're going to be in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you kind of homed in on that. Walkability is a huge thing. It's a huge thing with the tourism coming in with the casino, but it's also a huge thing for quality of life. It's one of the main things that people look for when they're moving. So it plays a big role in workforce attraction and by way of that industry attraction too. So that's great. That's one big way that people can help with this process, is by looking for those connections and land easements, land donation, and stuff like that. So again, in that big picture of the whole park system. Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
How about anybody here that's in person? Any questions for Stephanie this morning?
Yeah, so as far as signage goes, are there opportunities to, if someone wants to hang a poster, like, are there places in the parks where certain organizations can post those, or is that mainly Parks and Rec type stuff?
So it depends. Parks and Recreation, in our parks, we're the only ones who can put things up in our kiosks. We're the only ones who can post. However, on the Riverwalk, and on the Riverwalk, we're looking for opportunities to say this far to this location. That's shown to increase people's willingness to walk, and also like using it as using the system as transportation. Some of that infrastructure has to be built first, where we connect with people who are wanting to put their name on there and things like that. So that's fine. The signage I was referencing on the slide is more like signage on on sort of your establishment, like this far to the Riverwalk, or this far to the park, or things like that, or at events, connecting with residents through having a booth there and be like, we're this far from the Riverwalk. That's what we have now. We're working on signage on the trail, and also a tourism-based map, interactive map that IT is working with us on. And that's a similar thing, but geared towards bicyclists coming from like Anglers Park and using the Riverwalk to get around to destinations. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
One of the things we could certainly work on you with is making sure our QR districts app is somewhere located on some of these. And that way, as people hold up the districts app, it has all of the calendar of events and all the lists of different places people can shop. So that's a conversation we could have offline. We do that in a couple of kiosks downtown already.
Sure, yeah.
So certainly talk about.
I have a question. How does safety play into your planning process?
Safety is a big part of our planning process. And there are a couple of aspects of that. Like there's safety in terms of like the physical trails, the physical parks, how those are inspected and maintained for like not tripping or falling and things like that. But there's also talking about crime and maybe like the more violence aspect of that. One big thing, parks and greenways generally make spaces more safe. The more populated a park is, the more well-loved it is, the safer the area is. Now, if it's a park that's off and kind of abandoned and no one's using, that's a different story. And it's more of an aspect of, okay, how can we open this up? How can we improve visibility? How can we get people coming here so that people who are wanting to do wanting to go there for sort of criminal purposes don't feel like that's a safe space for them. The other thing is making sure that the parks are safe for different populations. So making sure that people of different backgrounds, different races, different nationalities, whatever, all feel welcome in this space. And so that's a conversation we have with the police. The police are part of, so Heart of the Park has lots of partners. Police are one of them, CAS is one of them. Making this more of a community space than an isolated park user space. So we would do that. Did you have a specific aspect of that in mind? Or?
I just know that I like to ride my bike on the trail, the Riverwalk Trail. There have been moments that I was uncomfortable because I found myself in an isolated area and I was uncomfortable with someone that was there. And so anyway, I just thought about, it's not lit in any way. I don't ride at night or at dusk or any of those things.
Yeah.
But I just wondered, as far as the partnerships and the planning, how all that plays into that so that people do feel safe and welcome. I know there was a time, I grew up here, there was a time that I would have ventured anywhere in Baloo Park, but that went away because there was, I don't know, danger associated with going to the back portions of Baloo Park.
Okay.
And so I don't know. I just moved back here about 6 years ago, but anyway, I've never ventured back down there since, but I just wondered how that was all part of the planning.
Yeah. And it's a huge part. And I think that you talking about your feelings in those spaces highlights the importance of having so many people involved in the park planning process. So I can't encourage you, your neighbors, anyone who lives in Danville enough to be a part of the planning groups, signing up online to be a voice, to have a voice in this process. This is the first step in coming up with a larger community advisement network so that we're not going out all the time and seeking information from residents. Like doing this wide scale survey evaluation is fine, but we would rather have real-time feedback and people letting us know what they feel in the parks. So I know I've had similar feelings on different parts of the greenways, and it hasn't felt the same way to people who are maybe like bigger and not female. But I mean, different, everybody's got a different feeling, a different perspective in these places. And the more we hear from that, the better we're able to make these spaces feel safe and feel welcoming to everybody.
Now, tell me again how someone would contact you to be a part of the park planning process or advisory or to have these conversations.
Yes, so I'm at the main office of Parks and Recreation. My phone number is 434-799-5200 up there. There's also online. We have a neighborhood park project page, and on there you can sign up with comments. You can just, if that's how the extent you would like to be involved, you can put your comments in there. But if you'd like to be a part of the meetings, these ongoing conversations, and part of that citizen advisory network, there's also a place to sign up to be a part of that. And we will definitely be taking you up on that on that. And if you would decide later you don't want to be a part of those meetings or those conversations, that's fine. But it's a great way to stay in the know about what's going on. If you have ideas or would like to learn more about what's going on, what other people are feeling, experiencing in your parks, that's a great way to be involved. So yeah, that's the best way right now is online, or just call me. Happy to talk with you. You can't tell.
Thank you, Stephanie. Round of applause for our guests this morning. We appreciate it very much. You're welcome to stay with us if you'd like, or if you have to scoot, I understand. Either way is fine. So next up, we are going to have any updates on programs and services with Mr. Wilmack.
Yeah, actually, Just want to start out with a shout out to all the Dream Launch participants this year. So Mr. West was one this year, and we completed our classes for that program earlier this month, and then there were a couple additional ones for people who are pitching. So I just want to start out with a shout out to everybody who completed the program in full, but also if you just came to one or two of the classes. Like completing the full boot camp, there's 6 classes, and then if you're pitching, there's an additional 2 to 3. So 9 Tuesday evenings in a row for folks who are coming out. I want to thank people for their time and commitment to the program. And we're moving on to the pitch portion. So I know Jeremy was a past recipient, and for people in the future, if you're interested, we'll start up again in January if you're looking to open or expand your business in some way. So just encourage people to be involved in the Dream Launch program. That's kind of the only real announcement. I guess there was one thing we couldn't quite get in the newsletter. This is an informational session just out of, if you're interested in attending. It's through Virginia Community Capital. It's on Wednesday at noon, but it's just a funding opportunity that they're going to be informing people about. If you've been in business for 18 months or more, if you're looking for capital to purchase equipment or owner-occupied real estate, and if you're a small business owner who's a woman, Black, Indigenous, or a person of color, then you can attend the webinar and get a bit of information on the potential funding opportunities. So if you're interested, you can send me an email and I'll forward you the registration for it. But just wanted to announce that because we couldn't quite get it in the newsletter for the month. I think that's kind of it for my announcements. So turn it over to Kirsten if you got any.
Just have a couple things. First, I will get all the information you said and send that out in our newsletter as well about how to be involved. So if you didn't hear everything or missed something, I'll put it in writing and you'll get it. So we'll do that. We've been having a lot of ribbon cuttings and we have a few more coming up. Most specifically, Cottontail Wedding and Events has a new owner. So we're doing a celebration for him, Sharif Radney, on April 15th at noon. So if you want to come check out the space and what they're doing that might be new or different, you can RSVP to me just at my email, kirsten@riverdistrictassociation.com. And so put that on your calendar. Other than that, I don't have too many announcements, except that we are, believe it or not, already starting to plan for the winter holidays and Christmas and things like that. So if you have any feedback on what we did this past year or ideas or thoughts or anything, feel free to get in touch with us about that. And you will be hearing from me soon-ish. And then you've probably all figured it out, but our Mornings on Main has moved to the 4th Monday of the month, and we'll probably be doing that moving forward. Just there were so many holidays on the 3rd Monday that it didn't work. So mark your calendar for that. And I think that's it for now. I'm sure there's more coming up, but keep your eyes open for some more ribbon cuttings as well. And yeah, that's it for now. So thank you.
Welcome, thank you. And who are our newest businesses again? I know we just did 3. We've got Lavender Group as a relocation.
Yep, we had Lavender Group, River City Tans opened up. They're on Lynn Street. We've got Smokestack just opened up on Lynn Street. Cottontail is a new owner. Culture Restaurant at 510 Spring Street. Am I missing anybody? There's a few more coming, but I don't have it.
We got Funky's over on Lynn, yeah.
Well,
Moz Cakes.
Oh goodness, can't forget that one.
Yes. And more and more. I know we're gonna miss somebody, but I just wanted to make sure we especially highlight the ones that have just opened up over the last 30 days or so. If you haven't had a chance to go by and visit Culture Restaurant, please do that. River City Tans, they're not just tanning, folks. They actually have saunas, they have infrared. So it's so much more than tanning. It's really looking at it from a health aspect as well. And so make sure you go over there and say hi. They're located right next to Lavender Group over there as well with Mark. So to wrap it up, are there any other ideas? We'd love to hear what you're interested in hearing about. I think we are working on for some upcoming guests. There's a lot of conversations about the alcohol zone, the zone where you'll be able to have alcohol outside of restaurants and specified areas. So we've actually asked a representative from the city to come and be at our next meeting to answer questions about that. I know I've fielded a lot of questions already from local restaurateurs who, like all the rest of us, are really interested to see how this is going to play out. And so I invite everybody, is that next month that we're working on that?
I
We're still
believe so. I'm
working?
still trying to confirm.
Okay.
But hopefully, yes, I'm
Yeah, we're,
probably 99% sure.
okay, we're still working to confirm that, but please spread the word to anyone in the district, but especially those that may own food and beverage related businesses, because I know there are a lot of questions around that. But any other discussion questions that you may have about anything in the district or suggestions for us? We are getting ready to print a new parking map, so a new set of parking maps. So if you have specific ideas or suggestions, we're always willing to listen. We may not implement, we may, but we're always willing to listen. So let Kirsten know, and we'll be happy to talk with you about that. Those, of course, are free to our local businesses. So if you're out of maps, let us know, and we can make sure that we supply you with some new ones. Newell, I don't want to leave out our virtual guests. Anything from you? Any other questions?
I just want to check with you, Diana, on the other districts, not the River District, but are you aware of like the program called Plan It for the Schoolfield area? I know that you're dealing with North Main and other development for businesses. Do you know when the next meetings are for the Schoolfield area? I know they've got a consultant, economic development, but do you know when they're getting together with the public again for the Schoolfield area?
That is a great question. Kirsten, do you remember the website? Schoolfield?
I can find it. I'll send it to you.
We'll get it and send that out to you. And anybody else that's interested about the next group round of public meetings for Schoolfield, you remember. I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, we'll get the information for you though, for sure. I know they are going to continue to have some more public sessions, so. we'll
Right,
get-
thank you, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
Oh, the Creatives Roundtable, we've had 2 so far, pretty much in the River District. The first 2 were 2 months ago. Kelly Cunningham got some people together and decided, how can we get the arts more connected? Whether that's theater, painting, music, anything, any kind of art. I think there was like 10 people the first time. We did it a week or so ago and 27 people were there. So it's growing. We kind of talked about what we wanted that to be, whether it was just to like mingle every month or create an arts council. And it seems like we're headed in the direction of creating an arts council. I know Danville had one in the past. So we're looking into that at the next thing, but it's open to everyone. There's no real structure right now. But the next one will be at the Danville Museum of Fine Arts, April 24th at 5 p.m. And that's on, you can find it on Facebook, but go to that. And if you're arts related at all, whether individually or organization wise or business wise, check that out.
April 24th at 5 p.m. at Danville Museum of Fine Arts and History. And if they want to find out more information online, whose Facebook page would they want to visit?
There should be quite a few of ours. Smokestack's connected to the event, Fashion House, Jameel Austin Photography. There's a few, and not everyone knows how to add as co-host, so there's a lot sitting pending, but
Okay.
yeah, if you look up Creatives Roundtable, especially, I know it'll show up on Smokestack's events. And then you'll see the rest of our events. Go there.
Fabulous, excellent. So everything from creative outlets to trees, there's a lot of things happening right now. Okay, final thoughts before we close it up for this one. Yes, sir.
I would like to give you an anecdote. My son-in-law is a lifelong resident of Richmond. And so he's familiar with Carytown, Belle Isle, Chaco Bottom, that gigantic park along the river. And because of me, he's been keeping up with the progress of the River District and so on. And he is fascinated with the cooperation between the city and private businesses. When I told him that we have an entire warehouse that was turned into free parking for people to come down here, he just couldn't believe it. And you mentioned the open carry of alcoholic beverages. I asked him if he had any of that in Richmond, Carytown, anything like that. He said, well, they talked about it several years ago for the brewing district, but nothing ever happened. So if that happens here, we have something that Richmond does not have. And he was happy that Smokestack has moved in, and Lucia Video have moved into the River District. And I said, yeah, we have provided the district with another and. A city can't have enough ands. You know, it was, well, let's go have dinner at Meeks. Okay, let's go have dinner at Cuff. Let's go down to Grizzlies. Let's go. And now let's go have dinner at Meeks and then go see the play. Or vice versa, see the play, then go to Buc-ee's, you know, ballot. So you can't have enough ands, and we are proud to be an and. And by the way, another necessary diversion. Yeah, so we're happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And we're very, very happy that you're located here. Could not agree with you enough about the ands. That's why we're so happy to be able to continue on with the Dream Launch program to help more businesses come. I know sometimes it can be challenging to navigate when you've got all of these new businesses, sometimes even in your own, the same thing that you're doing, but hopefully it's giving us an opportunity to pull out what makes you unique and special, because the more of those things that we have that's unique and special, even if they're offering similar services, the more diverse and welcoming and equitable that we can be for everybody in our community and everyone that wants to come and visit and eventually live here, because the quality of life is so high. So that's what we are aiming for. But I want to thank you all for coming. I know we've been online only, so it's nice to be back in person. We're going to continue with a hybrid option for a while, but I'm glad to be welcoming people back in person again. So if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to the staff here. I want to give special thanks to Alyssa and Will and Kirsten for being the best team that anybody could ask for. Thank you to our merchants. We would not be here without you. That includes our nonprofit organizations, and of course, to our lovely guest speaker today, Dr. Lovely. We appreciate all that you do to make our community a much greener place to be. And we appreciate you being online, Newell. And for those of you that are watching after the fact, if there's anything you'd like to add or anything you'd like to see, Kirsten at riverdistrictassociation.com. And with that, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Happy Monday. Thank you.